All right, so get this. Imagine an NBA where dunks are like banned. They're playing with a red, white, and blue ball, and teams are like hopping between cities, like it's a road trip.
Yeah.
That was the wild 70s.
The wild, wild
They've
70s.
got your stack of articles and some like deep Wikipedia dives here, ready to uncover how this decade went from like almost sinking the NBA to, launching it into this global phenomenon it is today.
Yeah. It's fascinating how much we can learn from this era. You see, beneath the surface of bell-bottoms and disco balls, the 70s NBA was a battleground of ideas.
Okay, so paint me a picture. 1970. What's the scene like for the NBA?
Picture this. The NBA is facing some serious heat, not just from rising stars, but from a whole other league, the ABA. They were snatching up players with big contracts and a flashier style of play, like throwing some serious shade at the NBA.
And the NBA itself wasn't exactly in a slam dunk position, right?
Not even close. They were battling low attendance, financial woes, and let's be honest, a reputation for a slower, more foul-heavy game. Right.
Fans were turning away, looking for something more exciting.
Hold up. So you're saying the NBA wasn't always must-see TV?
Nope.
That's wild. But wait, the ABA had a red, white, and blue ball.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. That was their signature. Remember that special edition ball they brought back for the All-Star game a few years ago?
Yeah.
Total ABA throwback. They were known for their bold style and pushing boundaries, and you can see that influence even today.
So how did the NBA try to claw their way back?
Well, first they had to address the slow game problem. Can you imagine watching a game where teams held the ball for like minutes?
No.
It was almost like a game of keep away. That's where Danny Biason, the owner of the Syracuse Nationals, stepped in.
He's the shot clock guy, right?
Yes.
What made him go, we need a clock for shots?
Well, Biason was a visionary. He realized the game needed a jolt of energy. The shot clock wasn't just about making the game faster. It forced teams to get creative on offense.
Suddenly, every second mattered, and that led to new plays and strategies. You can see echoes of that today in the fast-paced, high-scoring style the NBA is known for.
So shot clock check.
Yeah.
But the ABA was still out there, right? Did the NBA just try to outdo them at their own game?
Not exactly. This is where it gets really interesting. The NBA initially saw the ABA's three-point line as a gimmick.
Okay.
But the ABA wasn't afraid to experiment, and that line became a game changer. It added a whole new layer of strategy and scoring potential.
I mean, can you imagine the NBA today without the three-pointer?
No.
It's practically a religion for some players. So tell me, how did these two rivals finally settle their differences?
Well, in 1976, they did something that seemed unthinkable. They merged.
Wow.
But the terms were anything but friendly.
Yeah, I'm looking at this article, and it says the four surviving ABA teams: the Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, New York Nets, and San Antonio Spurs had to pay a hefty fee just to join, and then got zero TV revenue for their first 3 seasons.
Right. The NBA owners weren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. And get this, the New York Nets had to pay the Knicks even more money just for being in the same market.
What?
Imagine the rivalry that created.
Talk about a hostile takeover. It's like punishing them for bringing exciting basketball to the fans.
Right.
So what happened to the ABA players who didn't make the cut? Did they just disappear?
There was a dispersal draft for players from the defunct ABA teams, but the real kicker, the 4 surviving ABA teams were barred from the 1976 NBA draft.
Wow.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
It's wild how much control the NBA seemed to have over the whole situation. But amidst all this merger drama, there were still some incredible players on the court.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Guys like Artis Gilmore and Moses Malone were drafted into the NBA. But to existing teams, not the ones who would come from the ABA. That's got to sting a little, right?
Right.
Imagine being a team like the Denver Nuggets having to pay a fortune to join the NBA and then like watching your former star player go to another team.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It feels almost like they were being punished for being successful. It's clear this era was a chaotic mix of innovation and drama.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all sunshine and roses within the existing NBA teams either.
You're right. The 70s were a time of social change, and the NBA wasn't immune to the challenges. Drug use, especially cocaine, was rampant among players, and the on-court violence, well, let's just say things got out of hand.
The articles you gave me mentioned some pretty like scary incidents, like that punch Kermit Washington threw that almost ended Rudy Tomjanovich's career.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe those kinds of things were happening on the court.
It's a stark reminder that this wasn't the polished, corporate-sponsored NBA we see today. They were still figuring things out, and some of those growing pains played out in a really public and damaging way.
It's almost like the league was like trying to find its footing amidst all this cultural upheaval. And then you've got stories like Spencer Haywood, phenomenal player, battling addiction. He fought to change the NBA's rules about underclassmen entering the league, but his personal struggles overshadowed his accomplishments.
Yeah. Haywood's story is a powerful reminder that this era wasn't just about basketball. It was about social change, racial dynamics, and the pressures young athletes face in the spotlight.
Right.
The NBA was a microcosm of society, reflecting the turbulence and change happening all around it.
So we've got a league grappling with its own demons, facing financial troubles, and still trying to figure out its identity after, like, merging with a rival.
Right.
How did they pull themselves out of this nosedive? Was there like a specific moment where things started to turn around?
Well, it wasn't an overnight success story, but there were like glimmers of hope.
Yep.
David Stern, a young lawyer in the league office, was starting to make waves. He had this vision for a cleaner, more marketable NBA, something that could appeal to a wider audience.
Okay, so you got Stern with his vision, but it takes more than just ideas to like turn things around, right?
Absolutely. And that's when two superstars arrived on the scene, changing the game forever, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
No, that's a rivalry for the ages. Those guys were electric. Looking at this list of MVPs from the 70s, it's like a basketball Hall of Fame. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bob McAdoo, Bill Walton, Moses Malone, Julius Erving. Talk about talent.
And that talent was finally getting the recognition it deserved. The NBA started figuring out how to market its stars, how to create narratives that hooked audiences.
Right.
It wasn't just about the game anymore. It was about personalities, stories, drama on and off the court. Magic and Bird's rivalry was the perfect example. It was East Coast versus West Coast, Flash versus fundamentals, a clash of styles that captivated the whole country.
So the NBA was starting to build a story around the game, making it more than just basketball. But what about those ABA innovations? Did they just like fade away after the merger?
Not at all. In fact, they were crucial to the NBA's evolution. Think about it. The three-point line, the slam dunk contest, even those detailed stats like steals, blocks, and turnovers all came from the ABA.
Oh, wow.
They were way ahead of their time.
It's crazy to think we might not have the slam dunk contest without the ABA.
Right.
Imagine an all-star weekend without it.
Can you imagine? And they were pioneers in other ways, too. They let underclassmen enter the league long before the NBA did. Spencer Haywood, Julius Erving, George Gervin, they all jumped from college to the ABA. Moses Malone went straight from high school. It was like a testing ground for talent, and eventually the NBA had to follow suit.
So the ABA may have been the underdog, but they brought a lot to the table. Their legacy lives on in so many ways.
Absolutely.
But let's zoom out for a second.
Yeah.
If you had to sum up the 70s NBA in a sentence, what would you say?
The 70s NBA was a crucible. It was teetering on the edge of collapse, dealing with financial chaos, drug scandals, and an image problem. But it was also a time of radical innovation and evolution, a decade that forged the DNA of the global phenomenon we know today.
It's amazing how much change can happen in a decade. From the brink of disaster to the rise of like iconic superstars and a whole new way of experiencing the game.
Right.
And let's be real, the NBA today wouldn't be the same without that red, white, and blue ball legacy.
Actually,
That boldness, that willingness to try new things, it's like still there.
absolutely. The ABA was a constant reminder that you can't just rest on your laurels. You have to adapt, innovate, and sometimes take a page from your rivals. But there's one more thing about the 70s that really sticks with me. These articles mention regional franchises in the ABA teams, like the Virginia Squires playing in multiple cities. Right. It was a totally different model.
Wow.
And it highlights just how much the business of basketball has changed.
That's so wild to think about teams bouncing between cities like a traveling circus.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a team like the Lakers doing that today? No way.
Yeah.
It shows how scrappy the ABA was, but also how tough it was for them to build a stable fan base and consistent revenue.
Exactly. It highlights the challenges of that era and how crucial strong business practices were for the NBA's survival.
Yeah.
The league's success wasn't just about talent and innovation. It was about building a solid foundation for the future.
Okay. We've covered a lot of ground here, from
Mhm.
near collapse to the rise of legends, from the ABA's influence to the dark side of the decade. But what does this all mean for someone listening today? Why should they care about the history of the NBA in the 1970s?
Well, history isn't just about dates and names, it's about understanding how the past shapes the present. The NBA we see today, with its global reach and cultural impact, is a direct result of the decisions, struggles, and triumphs of those who came before. The 70s may have been turbulent, but they were also a time of immense growth and evolution.
It's almost like a reminder that even giants like the NBA started somewhere.
Right.
They had their own set of challenges and had to adapt to survive. And who knows, maybe there are lessons from the 70s that are still relevant today.
Absolutely. Look at the ABA. They dared to be different, to challenge the status quo. They might not have won the battle, but they left a lasting mark on the game.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful message for anyone, whether you're on the court or in the boardroom.
So we've explored the wild world of the 70s NBA, but I'm curious, what stands out to you the most? What surprised you or made you think differently about the league?
For me, it's the realization that even the most um, dominant institutions are vulnerable. The NBA almost went under. They had to fight for their survival, and ultimately, they had to embrace change, even if it came from a rival. It
Yeah.
shows that success is never guaranteed, and you
Yeah.
always have to be ready to evolve.
I think that's a great point. And it brings up a thought-provoking question for our listener. Knowing what we know now, was the NBA better off absorbing the ABA? Or would a two-league system have been more interesting in the long run?
Now, that's something to ponder. Imagine two competing basketball leagues constantly pushing each other to be better, to innovate, to attract the best talent.
There would be something else.
Yeah.
A lot to think about there. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We hope you learned something new and maybe even challenged some of your assumptions about the NBA.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you're inspired to do a little digging of your own. After all, that's what the deep dive is all about.
That's right.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you on our next adventure. Would we see, different dynasties, different styles of play?
Oh, absolutely. Maybe we'd have some players jumping back and forth between leagues,
Yeah.
looking for the best deals or the best fit for their game. It could be like a free agency frenzy.
It's fun to imagine how things could have played out differently. But, even with just one league, the NBA has come a long way since the 70s.
It really has. From those shaky early days to the global powerhouse it is today, it's a testament to the visionaries, the players, and the fans who shaped the game.
Absolutely. And to think it all started with a bunch of guys in short shorts chucking a red, white, and blue ball around.
That's right. But hey, that's the beauty of history, right? Sometimes the most unexpected things end up shaping the future.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks again for joining us for this deep dive into the 70s NBA. We hope you enjoyed the trip down memory lane.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, thanks for listening.